3, behind Giannis's dominating 41.13 rebound performance. But his Bucks are still down 2-1 homes, and teams have won 35 out of 36 finals when they're leading 3-1 in the series. Joined now by Fox NBA analyst Ric Bucher, but Acho, is tonight a must-win game for your Bucks?
Of course it is, Joe. If the Bucks go down 3-1, I would dare say that it is a wrap because you give yourself no room for error. You go down 3-1, what happens in Game 5 if Giannis catches an elbow to the nose and he has to miss a quarter or two? What happens if Chris Middleton sprains his ankle? Not missing several games, but just has to miss the rest of that game. What happens if Drew Holiday sprains a wrist landing on the ground and now he misses 2 quarters? You got to give yourself room for error. That's my first reason why. My second reason why, if you go down 3-1, you got to go back to Phoenix. The Bucks have lost 7 games in the playoffs thus far. 6 of these 7 games that they have lost were on the road. They lose more games on the road than they win on the road. So you go down 3-1, then you got to go back to Phoenix, and you have a better chance of losing on the road. And if you do ever lose, it's typically on the road. That's reason number 3. Reason number 2. Reason number 3 is very simple. Now you got to look conversely. At home, you always handle business. Y'all 8-1 at home thus far throughout these playoffs. 8 games, 1, and you only lost one of them things. You always take care of business at home. If you can't take care of the house, you can't take care of nowhere else. For that reason, Bucks have to find a way to even up this series at 2-2. Go back to Phoenix. That's fine. Let them control their home court. You go back to Milwaukee. You control your home court. Then let's dance in Game 7, see what happens.
Yes, it is a must-win for the Bucks, for all the reasons, Acho, that you explained. It's also a must-win for the Phoenix Suns. The winner of Game 4 is going to decide this series. You laid out exactly why it's a must-win for the Milwaukee Bucks. Let me lay out why it's a must-win for the Phoenix Suns. Because it has been part of their formula so far in the playoffs. In that, well, let me have a full screen.
Nope.
A full screen will explain it far more quickly than I possibly could. This has been their formula. They lose Game 3 big. They go on the road. They do not play in that first road game well. They get worked. What do they do in Game 4? They come back and they win, and then they win the series. They have done that. They did that against the Lakers. They did it against the Clippers. And now they're in position to do the same thing against the Bucks. If they don't get it done against the Bucks the way they did against the Lakers and the Clippers, it will mean one of 2 things. Either they did not figure out how to slow down Giannis Antetokounmpo, who has been a monster in all 3 games so far, or they figured out how to slow him down, and it did not matter because the Bucks still won. In either case, it means that the Suns are facing an issue that they have not faced previously in these playoffs. Getting beat 2 times in a row on the road and having a player that they have yet to figure out or figured out and still couldn't get the job done.
Interesting. Yeah, they have to win tonight. We're all saying the same thing, but we're saying it in different ways. They haven't won a road game in this series yet, and who's to say that they will? So right now, if you lose tonight, it goes from playing with house money if you're the Phoenix Suns, because you already still hold home court advantage. It goes from house money. They lose tonight, it's mansion money now because you got one in the pocket on top of the house money. You can play around with this team. And that's the problem if you're a Bucks player or fan. I like you, Slick Rick. I didn't like necessarily what you tried to do to the Phoenix Suns in terms of that full screen. Let's see it again because some of my old psychology minor pops up. And I look at the first series against the Lakers. I say, one time is a chance. Then I see the second one. The second time is a coincidence. And then I see the third one, and I see a question mark. And then I say, I don't know if this is really a pattern because we don't know what's going to happen tonight. Now, if the Phoenix Suns does create that as a pattern, that's actually a positive for the Phoenix Suns. You want to know why? Here's my psychology major. Because they've won every series when they've lost that Game 3, but then win the Game 4. So it's interesting.
Correct.
Correct. So now you look at the Phoenix Suns, and then all of a sudden they got to do something they haven't done, which is dig deeper. Now you're still playing with house money. Don't forget that. See, in your case, you're trying to say, oh, well, it's 2-2 now. What are you going to do when you go back to Phoenix? Hold pat. Hold home court. And that's something they can do that we have not seen from the Bucks steal home court away, except when the Brooklyn Nets got hurt. And I'm not going to go there. Let's talk about these Bucks averaging 106 points a game in Phoenix. 106, 120 in Milwaukee. You think they're going to go back to Phoenix and all of a sudden that's going to change? Or it's going to go back to a new pattern that I'm trying to advertise? Bucks outscore by 23 points in games 1 and 2, and then they blow them out at home. So what if they blow them out? I could go both ways, which is slick, but the point is, even if they lose the Phoenix Suns tonight, they still got house money. They win tonight, it's mansion money, and you know it's a wrap.
Here's the distinction, though, is that the change in the Milwaukee Bucks has not been on the offensive end. I'm not worried about them scoring points, not scoring points. They scored enough points in Phoenix in the first 2 games to get the job done. What I've seen are adjustments defensively that have changed things. You need to tell me that Devin Booker is going to get back to being the Devin Booker that we've seen earlier in these playoffs, and some of which we saw earlier in this series. You have to tell me that Chris Paul with Drew Holiday on him is not going to be averaging 5 turnovers a game, which is what we've seen in the last 2 games. Defensively is where the Milwaukee Bucks have made the adjustment. And what we know about defense is that it travels. It works better on the road, or it's more likely to work on the road than asking your offense to be as effective. So that's why I believe that if indeed the Bucks win Game 4, it will be because the formula that they found in Game 3 is working. And that formula, whether it's Giannis going big and Drew and Chris joining the party, and defensively them making things hard on Chris Paul and making them even harder on Devin Booker, there's no reason that that can't happen in Phoenix. They demonstrated that against the Brooklyn Nets on the road in Game 7. You could even look at Game 5, and that was a competitive game. So I'm not worried about how they're going to play on the road at this point.
Man, here's what none of us are talking about, right? We can level all this down very simply. The teams that go up 3-1 in the finals are 35 and 36. Like, if you go up 3-1, you win the series, point blank, period. Like, so we can do all the 12, 15 minutes of all the nice talking and all the statistics and analytics and philosophical stories. But if you go up 3-1, it's a wrap. Giannis already said he's not Michael Jordan. So unless he thinks that he is LeBron James, the only one to come back from down 3-1, it's a wrap. Finito. However, Bucks fans, it's very simple. Middleton shoots better than 42%, you're 12-1. Drew Holiday scores more than 20 points, you're 6-1. All you need is Middleton or Holiday to help Giannis out. Giannis last game essentially did it by himself, but just let Middleton shoot 42%, drop 25 or 30. Let Drew Holiday drop 20 or more.